today we have QBH Solutions, Dave Burton.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you very much.
Good.
Good to be back, as always, thank you.
Definitely. So, in today's In Conversation, we are talking about criticism, aren't we? And the value of feedback.
Yes. Yeah.
So, why is this topic of interest to you? What's your kind of thoughts on it?
It's just been something I've been thinking about last couple of weeks. A few things have come up, which have been quite interesting. It's very difficult, potentially, for people to handle and to manage. Either giving it or receiving it, giving the feedback or receiving the feedback or criticism, however you want to term it. So yeah, it's quite an interesting subject.
Yeah,
hopefully you guys will too. But
yeah, and I guess
don't give me any feedback if it's not. No, sorry.
And I guess it's something that comes hand in hand when things start to grow and build and become successful. And do you think potentially it can have us, whether it be it conscious or subconscious, a limit on our growth? Because, you know, we've all had those times where something's gone really well, maybe you've got extra exposure, more people than normal have seen something, but those are the times where normally there's a greater chance of someone going, ooh, I wouldn't have done it like that, or I don't agree, because you're exposing yourself to a bigger audience, therefore a bigger potential of criticism.
Yes. I think that the more you put yourself out there, the more you are exposed to it. And with the technology that we've got, video, audio, Facebook, other social media platforms, all that kind of stuff, it's instant as well. Maybe a couple of years ago it would have taken a little bit longer to get that feedback from people, by which point you've moved on to something else. Whereas now, I think it's the Samsung advert that's on the telly at the moment, where it's showing people saying they can't do things, and you've got the guy that's playing a guitar and all that kind of stuff. So it is instant. We've had a few experiences of that professionally. With we do a lot with blogs and videos and stuff, as you know. LinkedIn seems to be a great place for people to provide feedback, whether you want it or not. But I mean, it's not necessarily the feedback that you get. Maybe it's how you respond to it, and how you use that feedback. Sometimes you can bin it. Other times, actually, you might be able to take something from it, or occasionally, actually, it's really good and helpful and useful. And it just depends on, I guess, how you're feeling at the time.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that it's not necessarily we put stuff out there on Facebook or social media, LinkedIn, whatever it may be. We can't. There's a certain kind of train of thought, which is we can't be surprised or annoyed when we get feedback, because that's kind of what we put things out for, is to engage with other people, and that's the nature of those sites. But you also mentioned there about it's how we take it, and should we be preparing ourselves before we put stuff out? How can I deal with something potentially negative that might come out in a more positive, constructive way, and use it then, take that criticism and use it as feedback that you then apply, improve, grow from? And if so, how?
Well, let
Big
me
question.
know. Yeah, let me know when you find out how. I think that the way that we're putting things out there is immediate, and there's a big movement in the last 8 years or so with the development of social media and video and phones in particular, and bringing the price down as well in video equipment, audio equipment, that it's a lot easier to put stuff out there, and it's a great way to engage with your potential clients, your potential customers, your peers, your friends, whatever. It doesn't necessarily a business point of view, but there are times where I think it certainly happened to me, where I might have posted a video that I thought was quite funny and witty. I like to think that I'm witty. That's probably my downfall. And then you'll get a tirade of, what's wrong with you? Why have you done that? And it's like, oh, where the heck's that come from? And other times you're conscious that you might be putting something out there that's a bit edgy, it's a bit challenging. And people are like, yeah, that's really cool, yeah, I get that. Or nothing, or whatever. So it's something to be aware of. But I don't know, I mean... Yeah.
What's worse? Kind of to put something out and get nothing, like the tumbleweed rolling across, or is it to put something out and with every positive comment there's the potential someone would disagree? It's a bit like art, right? That if a good piece of art will provoke engagement and interest, but it could be in both directions.
I like to think what we're doing here is art, but I'm sure people won't agree with that. But I mean, from a business point of view, from a marketing point of view, you want engagement. The old adage, there's no such thing as bad publicity, which I guess is true. But what you want is positive, concise, helpful engagement from the people that you're putting stuff out to. That's not always, it's never going to happen all the time. Okay, if you can get a bit of feedback that's good, then great. It's choosing, I think, what you're putting out there and how you're putting it out there. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. As people have watched this over the last 3 or 4 sessions will realise. But, maybe being very clear in what you want to do and why you're doing it is helpful. So if you do get some feedback that's maybe a bit negative, a bit of criticism, actually it doesn't matter too much because you know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Equally, I suppose from a personal point of view, I mean, I keep my Facebook circle pretty tight, just because that's kind of the person I am. I know other people like to have as many friends and connections as possible as well, and that's completely fine as well. So I don't know whether I don't know where I'm going with this now, but
there's something that you said there that I found was quite interesting, which was as long as you know why you're doing it, what you're doing and why you're doing it. And maybe this is something that I always find interesting, and the importance of knowing why you're doing something, because then you can detach from the how you do it, because there's why you do it and the impact or the benefit to other people, how you want to contribute, and how you do it. There are many different ways. It's like, how do we get from location A to location B? There's probably about 10 different routes. You can walk, you can run, you can go in the car, all these different things. So as long as you're clear on the why, you can allow, and that's where feedback can become very positive. Put something out, okay, people hated that. People said, oh, well, I didn't like that, or you can make that's crap, that could be improved. And then your how becomes, great, I will take all kinds of options as long as it's aligned to the why. And it gives you that ability to remain focused, remain kind of clear and effective, but not be attached to the route and the method at which we get to the results, and being flexible as our environment, our industry, the people, our audience, as we learn more about the audience. And with that, criticism and feedback can be a lot more constructive. You can welcome it.
Yes, open yourself to it and see the value in it. I think I was really interested in the why.
Yeah.
Which is a term that's relevant to both of us, and I'm sure a number of your other clients as well. Why are we doing it? Why are we putting stuff out there? To share some positive experiences with people, maybe. You've got a great idea like this, the big idea show. You've got a great idea. You want to get it out to people. That's why we're doing it. So, once you've kind of what you're doing, why you're doing it, how takes care of itself. To a degree, I think there's the differences in the platforms that we use. What I put out on Facebook, personally, Dave Burton, pictures of my daughter usually, which I probably shouldn't be doing, but they get deleted. I've gone off on a terrible tangent. But what I put out on Facebook for me is different to what I put out on Facebook for the business, which in turn will be different to what goes out on LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever. So I think actually being clever how you, from a professional point of view, from a business point of view, how you pitch what you're doing will then engage with the right audience, which means the feedback that you're getting is maybe more valuable and helpful.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than just the trolls that sit under their bridge and abuse you.
Yeah, and you can kind of discount, and then you've got an easy way, a clear way of discounting. That's valid feedback that I can learn from. And that's just a troll that's just doing it because they don't have anything better to do. But they're not your audience, so you can discredit kind of anything negative that might come about.
I think so.
Okay, so is there any takeaway tips that you think people can take on? Maybe if their business is growing, maybe they've got a personal project or kind of a hobby that's growing. Criticism is going to increase based on an increase of exposure. And you mentioned about maybe at first taking it a bit personally and now going, you know what, it doesn't matter. Don't take it personally. What would you recommend to people, or kind of advice they do? Or what do you try and do?
Oh gosh, don't listen to anything I say. What do I think? I think first of all, get yourself a great social media guy, Jason Couch from My Office Buddies. He's really good. Sorry, I said shameful plug. I think business stuff, if you're not confident in what you're doing, or you're not really sure what you're doing or why you're doing it, get somebody in to help you. Just because you could potentially, I'm sure you don't, but there's the potential. What I was worried about was alienating people, or maybe getting the wrong message over, which could be detrimental to the brand or the image. But actually, most people aren't really that interested anyway, because people have got lives, which is fine. But if you are going to do it, have a think about the message that you're trying to get across, why you're doing it, and a little bit of how as well. And maybe don't worry too much about it. I mean, if you've put something out there that's clearly crud and saying the wrong stuff, then take it down and get it right.
Yeah.
But if it is just, I've got a client of mine, one of my first clients actually, Purple Rhino, Darren from Purple Rhino, is a brilliant guy, a fantastic company, another shameless plug, but he was very, very good at coming back to me in the early days of, I don't think that quite works, Dave, or do you think that? And I always really valued that feedback. I'd sometimes go, oh gosh, but it's really helpful. So maybe you pick a circle of people whose whose feedback you value and you trust, and you take that, and then maybe you bin anything else that you don't like.
Yeah, definitely. Get a good set of people around you to give you that.
I hope that's
feedback.
useful. I don't know.
Definitely. Dave, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Leo, as always. Thank you.
It's been a good chat. See you later.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.